Welcome, PI Nation. This is your host, Matthew Kamara, with the Common Sense segment. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like and put a comment in the comment section below. If you are a YouTube subscriber, make sure you subscribe, you like that video as well, and subscribe and share it with all your friends. We are trying something new as a channel to hopefully bring more content to you guys, the viewers. We are still going to be doing a live show. Hopefully we can get one together soon. Obviously, we want that to be the main focus, but here and there we're going to drop some videos, and Deshaun and Evaldo have their individual segments. Mine is branded the Common Sense segment because I felt I wanted to just kind of focus on some of the more common sense things, or what you would think would be common sense. But it's quite apparent that we are becoming a nation of idiots. Not just our nation, but pretty much Western civilization has lost the ability for common sense thinking. And I think what you've seen already is just a precursor to something much, much worse. I think common sense is going to become worse. It's already crazy. The clown in the White House has only been there for about a month and a half now, and it's crazy what he's already doing. It's quite apparent that he's not really running the show. I wish I knew who our president actually was, because it's definitely not Uncle Joe, who has broken pretty much every promise and doesn't really seem to really know what's going on. But I digress. I'm going to be focusing on something a little bit different, kind of the common sense or lack thereof issues or things that have been happening recently. And if you've been paying attention to the mainstream media, unfortunately, I don't know if it has anything to do, but it seems like people's brains have shrunken. I'm not sure if that's just liberalism itself. I believe Ronald Reagan said liberalism itself was a disease. So I'm going to attribute it more to that. I think liberalism causes people's brains to shrink, thus their common sense ability just kind of goes away with that. And we've become a nation of idiots. And I got a couple examples here. So if you are a major consumer of Coke products, such as myself, I will admit I actually really enjoy Coca-Cola. I think it's the best soda that you can drink, specifically Coke Zero. So it really pained me to hear the news surrounding Coca-Cola and what they're portraying for their employees. And it's not just them. This is something that we've been hearing for a couple of years now. Corporations telling their employees to be less, quote unquote, less white, whatever that's supposed to mean. There actually is a graphic chart that Evaldo showed with me. If I can get the graphics for that, I'll put it up in the video. But anyways, Coca-Cola was under intense scrutiny because a employee leaked a training material that was essentially telling its employees to be less white, to act less white. I kid you not. A multi-billion-dollar corporation is telling their employees to be less white. I don't know who on the board approved that or thought that that was going to be a good idea, but if I had to guess, the vast majority of their Coke product drinkers are probably white. So they probably angered a lot of people, and I'm sure Pepsi, even though it's an inferior product, probably gained a lot of new drinkers this past couple of weeks because of that. And it's just crazy to see. But like I said before, it's not just Coca-Cola. Lots of companies now, again, signal virtualing. They're becoming what's called woke. They're just going with leftist agenda. Whatever is screaming the loudest, they're gonna back. Basically whatever the media is pushing out is the way that these large corporations go. And it's stupid because no matter which way you go, you're gonna alienate somebody. 50% of your user base. So why not just stay neutral and stay out of this stupidity? But these big corporations, they just can't. And you see that all over the place. And I think as time goes on, you're going to continue to see more and more, unless there's some major pushback. It's really going to come down to us, the people. Are we going to stand for this, or are we going to push back with our wallets, with our words, and say, "Hey, enough is enough. There's nothing for me to apologize for." And I'm going to sit here and tell you that if anybody has ever made you feel like you should be guilty or apologetic because of how you grew up, what status you grew up in, the color of your skin, you're listening to the wrong people. Those people are idiots, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Okay. I understand that not everybody's situation is going to be the same. Not everybody's situation is going to be rosy and great, and everybody's going to grow up with tons of money. And I realize that. But there becomes a point in time where you are responsible for yourself. Everybody in this country, at least, has an opportunity to make something of themselves. And this whole idea that people can't do certain things because of how they grew up is just baloney. Yeah, it might take a little bit more effort for some people. It may be harder for some people, but in the end of the day, it really boils down to what you want for yourself, what you want to make of yourself. If you're going to continue to be a victim, or pretend to be a victim, act like a victim, then you'll always be a victim. But you have to have the mentality that you can do something better with yourself. And everybody in this nation grows up with the ability to get an education, and to make something of themselves. The great thing about this country, there's no caste system. There's no system that says that you have to do this or that. No, the sky is the limit. You're the limit to what you can do. You don't want to go to college. You don't have to go to college. Okay, stop feeding into the lies that in order to be successful, you need a college degree. Plenty of trades jobs out there for little money, okay, to get into with a good return, lots of money in return. You don't have to go hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to make a good living. Be an entrepreneur. Start your own business. I know the elitists and the Democrats hate small businesses, but you know what? As long as we're a free nation, we're gonna have that ability to have small businesses. As long as we're a capitalist nation, we're gonna have that ability that anybody can rise up and create their own business, create jobs, and make a success for themselves. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I kind of went off the rabbit trail, and all I want to say is don't be apologetic for the color of your skin. We had an interview not that long ago with the ex-CIA director. According to Tulsi Gabbard, is a domestic terrorist, and I would agree with her. Tulsi is one of the few Democrats that I would probably support or agree with more often than not. And anyways, he was saying that he was becoming increasingly embarrassed by being a white male. Well, Brennan, you're not increasingly embarrassed. You're increasingly stupid for believing that. Nobody should be. I remember a viral post that actually really got to me. I don't know if it was a year or two ago now, because like I said, this has been going on for a couple of years now. This whole guilt baloney. And there was this viral post of a little girl. Okay, the parents obviously took this picture holding up a sign, basically apologizing. The little girl was crying and apologizing for being white. A little girl. I think she was 3 or 4 years old, holding up this sign. And the parents were proud of this. Like, how sick do you have to be to do that to your child? There is nobody alive today that is responsible for the slavery that happened in this country. Okay, there is nobody. It's akin to making every Japanese child apologize because of what happened at Pearl Harbor. It's just sheer stupidity. Absolutely is, and that's the liberal. If we allow these people to continue to do what they're doing, this is the future of America. And it's sad. It's just no common sense. And it's just crazy. Don't ever apologize for the color of your skin. I don't care what color you are. Black, white, red, yellow. You want to make up colors, because that seems to be the trend going on nowadays anyway. Just make up whatever you want. Don't apologize for it. Don't fall into that trap and that baloney. Let's see, what other topics do we got? Other common sense. I mean, it would be hard pressed to believe that we're in the middle of a pandemic and, the economy is kind of struggling and millions of people are in unemployment. Because when you look at what people are trying to solve, the problems that are being put forth, I mean, Hasbro thought that it was an issue enough that they decided to make Mr. Potato Head gender neutral. I kid you not, America. That is what these people are focusing on. The gender of a potato. A plastic potato. Not even a real potato. A plastic one. People are being conditioned to believe that a male and female is a bad thing. That it's bad to be labeled as such. They don't want to admit facts. Isn't it funny that when it comes to their own agendas, that facts matter, but when it comes to actual facts, if it goes against their narrative, all of a sudden facts don't matter? Now you can say what you want, but there's only two genders. There's a male and there's a female. There may be people who think otherwise. There may be a male that thinks they're a female or a female that thinks they're a male. But at the end of the day, there's still a male or female. I'm not going to get into the specifics of their mental status. I don't care about that, but there's still a male or female. It is what it is. But Hasbro thought that it was a good idea to remove the gender of Mr. Potato Head. So now they're going to come out with a gender neutral one. And speaking of which, probably inspired by, I guess, Biden's new or appointee to become like an assistant health director, obviously that transgender male was in the news and had an interesting dialogue with Rand Paul. Rand Paul is a great politician. One of the few guys I think that is pretty genuine in the Senate. And I can look past some of the reasonings. We all know why Biden picked that person. Most likely it's not for their qualifications, but just to feed an agenda narrative. If the person's qualified, then hey, that's great. We can look by some things, but it was sickening to listen to what Rand Paul was asking, and the fact that person was absolutely refusing to answer Rand Paul's question. It's sickening to think that we're becoming a society, and I already knew that this was going to come this way. The next problems that we're going to be facing are things like pedophilia. The whole age thing and just that's going to be the next problem. I can tell you already. This whole thing with gay rights and things like that, transgenderism, all that is a precursor to what else is going to come. Because once they get what they want, it's not going to stop there, okay? You're already seeing the fact that Rand Paul is asking questions that to this person. He was basically asking if that person thought it was okay for minors to mutilate their genitalia and take drugs that would alter their hormone state. And we're not talking about like 17, 18-year-olds. We're talking about young children, 3, 4, 5 years old. Kids that don't even know what gender is. Yet you got sickos that are putting things in their minds to make them believe that they're opposite of what they actually were born. Science will tell you that these kids cannot make up their own minds. Common sense would tell you, you don't even need science, common sense would tell you that these little kids cannot make up their own minds. Never mind something that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And the fact that this person could not even answer Rand Paul. He was simply asking, do you think that it's right to give these drugs to little children, minors, under the age, or genital mutilations? And the person absolutely refused to answer that. How sick do you have to be? But going back to my opening statement, this is where common sense has just jumped out the window in this country. People are getting crazier by the day. There is no such thing as common sense for half this country. To sit here and think that a 3 or 4-year-old has the mental capability to think that they know what they are or what they aren't, to think that they have the mental capability to make that decision to go from being a male to a female or a female to a male at 3, 4, 5, 17 years old? And then they wonder why a lot of these people in that community commit suicide. Why a lot of them in those communities have regrets, because there was idiots pumping them, instead of giving them the right advice, pumping them full of nonsense at such a young age, to the point, if you keep telling somebody a lie, eventually they're going to believe it. Just crazy to think that this is the nation that we're becoming. A nation of no common sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. Crazy to think that this is what we're becoming, and kind of afraid to think of what's coming next. It's unbelievable, just the things that are happening. Especially when it comes to Democrats and their fake hypocrisy. Let's talk about all of a sudden that Biden's building new cages right down in the border. We have this huge border crisis that's happening, right? Liberals have been screaming for the past year, coronavirus. Yet we got thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants gathering at the border. I just read a report today that 108 of the illegals that were detained and then released into the United States, 108 of them tested positive for coronavirus. So it was never about keeping you safe from the virus. Okay? Then I'm reading reports about how the Biden administration is no longer going to allow reporters at the immigration center. Gee, I wonder why. Because the cages that Obama built, that Trump got blamed for, is still there and probably expanded. They're probably there right now. They don't want you to see it. The media doesn't care enough. They ain't fighting back. It's the hypocrisy. We're already bombing Syria. Spent 4 years, every time Trump bombed a terrorist, the media was so angry. Oh, why are we bombing people? All of a sudden, Biden does it, and it's the greatest thing. It's the absolute hypocrisy, the lack of common sense, just the sheer stupidity of the other side that gets me. Crazy stuff. But I've already kind of gone over the time that I wanted. These segments are designed to be a little bit shorter, just what's on my mind. This is non-scripted, by the way, so that's where I kind of went down a little bit of rabbit trails and got off track. But I hope you enjoyed these segments. I'll join you again in a few days, if not next week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it a couple days a week or just once a week. Just gather some topics that have happened during the week. But I hope you all stay safe. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to like and comment, subscribe to our channel, Politically Incorrect Podcast, on YouTube, and also our Facebook page. Leave a like. This is your host, Matt, and have a good evening. Bye.